Hey everybody, I'm John and this is Blind Whiskey Reviews. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today here on Blind Whiskey Reviews, the most honest reviews on YouTube. As always, if you're liking these videos, don't forget, hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell notification. That way you'll know every time I'm uploading a new video and every time I'm starting a new live stream. And if you're liking the videos, don't forget, give me that thumbs up. That way YouTube knows you like the video and other people might like it too. Today we're going to be reviewing Filibuster with their dual cask finish, finished in French oak barrels, straight bourbon whiskey. It's a mouthful, but let's see if it's any good, and let's jump back in time before I knew what I was drinking and get to the review. All right, everybody, let's get into the whiskey. For the color, we've got like a light amber kind of color. Nice little orange hints at the edges. On the nose, first thing I've got there was some light fruit. Definitely some cherry here. A hint of oaky char. Maybe some berry, like red berry. Yeah, other than that little bit of an oaky quality, definitely stays in like the fruity realm. Like I said, the light fruits, a little bit of like red berry kind of flavor characters. Well, let's get into the taste. Cheers. Definitely gonna need another taste of this. Palate is much different than the nose was. You get a flash of some of those fruity characters, but there's a lot of other little characters here. And I'm almost left with what I'm picking up right now is like a nutty character. So let me get another taste on the palate here and we'll figure out where we are at. The profile on this one's a little baffling to me. It's almost, I don't know. It's not so much that the flavors are odd, but it's almost like where the flavors are hitting on the palate is different. At first you get this fruity flash on the front of the tongue. Mid palate it kind of goes to this like bitter nutty quality. And normally, you know, on the back of the palate you get more of that oaky bitterness, maybe a touch of the darker sugary sweetnesses, you know, like the brown sugar, the caramel, kind of blended in with that. This one, I'm getting like a flash of fruitiness on the back of the tongue, which is different. It leaves you with a bitter quality on your tongue. You kind of got this bitter oaky taste in your mouth after it goes over the palate, but there was this flash of like I said, like a fruitiness on the back end, which was strange. It kind of came out of nowhere. Let's get another taste. Yeah, this is definitely a different kind of whiskey. I'm really not sure what to think of it. And it's not that it's bad, it's just that it's very different in terms of how these flavors are balanced and where they're hitting the palate. It's just, I don't dislike it, I just don't know what to think of it. Sometimes it's kind of hard to judge a whiskey when you don't know what it's trying to be, I guess. So maybe that's something we need to add to these reviews, is maybe at some point in the review I'll start revealing, you know, the type of whiskey that it is. Maybe they'll kind of help us talk about the whiskey a little bit more before we reveal what the whiskey actually is. And this whiskey's changing. Now it's got this light, malty, nutty, got a flash of citrus, a note of peanut. It's very, very different, very unique. And I'm enjoying it. Now that I've gotten a few tastes on the palate, a lot of the flavors I described are there, but they're not as prevalent as they kind of were when I first started tasting it. Now I'm getting a lot more of the bitter qualities, the nutty qualities. There's a flash of fruit here, a flash of fruit there. They're still there, but they're kind of getting overwhelmed by these other flavors. Proof-wise, this doesn't feel too high. I feel like we're in that maybe like 85 to 90 range perhaps. I'll give it one more taste to really nail in the proof, but I'm enjoying the whiskey. I think it's unique. I'm not quite sure what's going on in it, as I've mentioned several times in this review, but yeah, I'm going to stick in like that 85 to 90 range. Doesn't feel too high in proof. Like I said, flavors are unique, balance is unique, and where these flavors are hitting the palate is unique. So this is one where I'm going to say take my score with a grain of salt, only in that I really feel like I need to spend more time with this whiskey, and I feel like this whiskey might need to be left open for a little bit and kind of see how these flavors maybe balance out with a little bit of air. This nuttiness makes me feel like Jim Beam, but it definitely doesn't taste like any Beam whiskey that I can remember tasting ever. So I don't know how accurate that statement is, but the nuttiness on this really makes me lean towards Jim Beam. But like I said, I've never tasted a Jim Beam whiskey that tasted anything like what this is tasting like to me now. So I'm going to give this a score of I think it's good. I'm just kind of baffled by it. I'm thinking like 81, 82 maybe. Let's give it an 81. It's good whiskey, definitely above average, and very different. So let's see what we've got. This is Filibuster Distillery Dual Cask Finish, finished in French oak barrels, straight bourbon whiskey. Well, that's a mouthful, but it maybe explains a little bit about why this whiskey was tasting a little bit different. So let me go grab that bottle and we'll talk about this whiskey a little bit more. All right, everybody, we just finished our review of the Filibuster Dual Cask Finish, finished in French oak barrels, straight bourbon whiskey. This is bottled at 45% alcohol by volume. And according to the back, this bourbon is 70% sweet corn, 20% spicy rye, and 10% nutty barley. Aged less than 4 years in new charred oak casks. Then they give it a secondary rest in California wine barrels. So I think that really kind of explains what I was tasting on the palate. So I think I described here to you guys, I got a lot of nuttiness. So I'm assuming some of that nuttiness is coming from that barley they're using in this recipe. I got this strange fruity pop at the back end, which, boom, again, they aged part of this and they rested it in California wine barrels. So it was pretty unique, it was pretty different, and I enjoy what it is, but I definitely think I need to sit with it a little bit more and enjoy it a little bit more. And perhaps I'll give it a higher score. I'll definitely be doing a speedy sample review on this whiskey. And when I do that, I'll try to remember to link it up here so that way you guys can check out a review of this whiskey after it's been open for a little bit. Because I think a little bit of airtime is going to do this whiskey some good. I think there's a lot going on, and that needs to kind of balance itself out with a little bit of time with some air. So I think it's good. I think it's very drinkable. There's a lot of little flavors going on in there. So I'd really like to explore those a little more, spend a little more time with this whiskey and find out what's going on. But I think it's good. As for a value, this whiskey goes for somewhere in the, I believe, $50 range, maybe up to $55, which for me, on a 90 proof whiskey that's less than 4 years old, is a little bit on the steep side. I would prefer to see this whiskey maybe just around 40, maybe just sub 40, 35 bucks. Feels about right. But hey, it is what it is. You know, these smaller, young distilleries have to bring in some extra capital to pay for all this equipment it took to make their whiskey and to age it for X amount of years. So, I mean, I guess to some degree, so we got to kind of understand what they're going through. But I think it is good whiskey. So if you get the chance to try it at a bar or something, maybe I would suggest doing that and seeing if it's in your wheelhouse before you make that purchase. Because like I said, $50 is a little bit expensive. So if you've had the opportunity to try Filibuster, specifically this one, the dual cask finished bourbon, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what your guys' opinions of it are. I'm curious about their distribution. I don't know how far this gets. I think I've seen it in several other places. So I think they got a reasonable amount of distribution. But anyways, if you've had it, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at blind_reviews. You can send me an email at blindwhiskeyreviews. That's whiskey with an E @gmail.com. And until next time, cheers.